I am not doing any more test knits. I'm not doing it. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 43 of the Stop Drop and Knit podcast, and Happy New Year. This is our first episode of 2022. I've put a couple of videos out, but those were recorded prior to the new year. So this is officially the first time I am sitting down to record a video, an episode for the podcast. It has been a while. So welcome everybody. If you are new, welcome. Hi, my name is Lisa. I am coming to you from Long Island, New York. And this is mostly a knitting podcast, but I have various sections that I enjoy of the fiber arts, and I usually share a few of those every week. So my normal segments are knitting and spinning and natural dyeing. So today I have both knitting and some natural dyeing to share with you guys. So I still haven't been spinning yet in the new year, but I hope to get back to that soon. So yeah, I mean, it has been a few weeks. So I have kind of a bunch of stuff to catch you guys up on, and I'm just really thrilled to finally be actually sitting down and feeling well enough to podcast. So I got sick the day after Christmas. Not COVID. It was just, I think, the flu. So luckily we've still been avoiding COVID over here. My extended family has not been so lucky. I have a lot of teachers, school teachers in my family, and a couple of them who teach at different schools caught COVID like the week before Christmas break. And so for Christmas, we didn't do anything. All of our Christmas family plans got canceled. Thank goodness, honestly, because I feel much better just doing our own thing at home, and just having nice, quiet holiday is just kind of what I prefer. Overall, I love my family, but it's also just really nice to get cozy at home and have a very simple holiday. So I hope that everybody enjoyed the holidays, no matter what you celebrate, if you celebrate something. So Vlogmas, that was crazy. I tried Vlogmas for the first time. So I had a bunch of you that really enjoyed watching the Vlogmas episodes. So if you tuned in for any or all of those, thank you so much for watching. It was crazy and overwhelming to be recording a video every single day, but it was also pretty fun. And so I'm really glad I did it. But I'm kind of glad also that it's over and that we can just resume like a normal, calm recording schedule. So yeah, so let's see. Weather on Long Island has been frigid cold. So I am not outside today. I am taking advantage of having an empty house. My husband will be coming home fairly shortly, probably in about 10 minutes or so, but he already has been put on notice that I am recording, and yeah, so we're good to go. Owen is in school. My parents are driving back from South Carolina. They're having a house built there, so they've been moving things back and forth. They're hoping to get back late tonight before it snows tomorrow. So figured I had a great opportunity to sit down and record and catch up with all of you guys. So, okay, I think that's enough introduction. You guys are here for knitting. I am here to share my knitting. And so let's get into some knitting. I think we can already see a big thing. But first, let's talk about what am I wearing? So today I put on my Arbor vitae pullover sweater. This is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. This is one of my most favorite and most often worn sweaters. This was featured in to say maybe one of the winter 2018 Pom Pom magazine, maybe? Is that the right one? I'm not sure. I think it was from 2018. I feel like it's been out for a few years now. I actually, on one of my Vlogmas videos, I went through and I took off all of my tassels and redid them. So, yeah, the tassels, they're so easy to put on. You do it with a little crochet hook. But when I put them on initially, I had never put tassels on before. And the way that I did it, instead of having it be attached through a loop on its own, I kind of stuck them through and then tied a knot. So they were kind of all like, I don't know, see if I can get one to kind of do it. They were kind of like, I don't know, sticking up funny. See, I can't get it now, but yeah. So instead of just being like a single little, I'll get a little closer, a single little tassel that hangs down like that, it was kind of like in a knot, and part of it would be like sticking up and the other, you know, kind of like that. And they looked all kinds of crazy, especially the ones that fall down over the shoulders. So I actually took a morning back in December, and I think I filmed at least part of it on Vlogmas. I at least filmed that I had done it. And I went and I fixed them all, and I'm so much happier with the way that those tassels look now. The tassels and these little cables immediately drew me into this sweater when I saw the pattern. I had to knit it. This was one of those stop, drop, and knit patterns. So, you know, every once in a while, I think that we all have those projects where we see something and we just instantly fall in love, and then we just have to knit it right then and there. So this was one of those patterns. I did take the time to order the yarn for it, so it wasn't like I saw it and cast it on that day, but I took a couple weeks to gather my materials, and then I cast this on pretty soon after. So this yarn, let's talk about this yarn. Whoops, I just moved like the whole chair. Getting used to a little indoor setup here. So this yarn is gorgeous. This yarn is Neighborhood Fiber Co. And oh my gosh, it is the prettiest color. I love this color so much. This is the color Edgewood. I think that's what it's called, Edgewood. If that's wrong, I'll fix it right on the screen here, but I'm pretty sure that it's called Edgewood. And it is their rustic fingering base. Now, this, this sweater is a few years old. So their rustic fingering yarn is different now than this is. So this is the rustic fingering from when they had it on their superwash base. And now they do their rustic fingering on a non-superwash base. So I think that that's really exciting. You guys, if you've been with me, you know that I really love rustic non-superwash yarns. When I do my dyeing, I never use superwash. I always use just pure wool. And yeah, so it's, I love this so much. And I would go and try their rustic fingering now that's on not superwash. So yeah, I know that because I do dabble in dyeing, I do know that the colors read differently on a superwash fiber than they do on a non-superwash fiber. So when they did make that change, you could tell a difference between like how the same colorway looked on the different yarns, but they're all so beautiful. So yeah, so this is one of my most worn, most favorite sweaters, and Arbor Vitae by Joji Locatelli. I highly recommend this pattern. Let me see if, there we go, I have enough room. So that's the length of it. It's like the perfect length. I think I knit the size 3. And yeah, so Arbor Vitae by Joji Locatelli is what I am wearing today. And so, all right, let's move on to finished objects because I know we all want to talk about this one. Okay, guys, it's done. I finally finished Shawlography. Oh my goodness. I actually just took this off the blocking mat, so I haven't even tried it on yet to model it. So, oh my gosh, but I wanted to, it's all nice and just fresh off the blocking mats. So I just wanted to hold it up and show you guys, and oh my gosh, this actually turned into a whip that I actually just didn't want to end. Like, all right, so this, we'll go through it for the last final time. I know that you guys have been seeing Shawlography everywhere, not just here. So you probably already know all about it. But when I got to this border, which, you know, people either love it or hate it, I happen to love it. It was, at first it was like, oh my God, this border is gonna take forever. It's never gonna end. I am going to be forever working on this border. But let me tell you guys, once I just got probably halfway through it, I mean, it was such a nice little, just easy, mindless knit at that point. It was something that I could pick up and I wouldn't have to look at the pattern. I wouldn't have to worry, because you can just count the garter ridges for each stripe. I wouldn't have to worry about keeping track of how many rows. I could just count how many garter ridges I did. So if I got interrupted by Owen, my 7-year-old, or just something needed to get done in the middle of me working on this, like, it was something I could just pick up and put down. And that, for that alone, that was amazing. So I think I need to now get another project on my needles that is like that. That's like a really big project that is just a lot of mindless work, that I can just have like a large section like that I can pick up and put down without having to stress out about being in a certain place, being at the being at the end of a really long row, or in a, you know, cable twists or anything like that. Like that was really nice. All right, so let's talk about this, and then I'll try to put it on in a bit here, but oh my goodness. All right, so this was the most fun project ever. It was so fun. It was so fun. Oh my goodness. This was my very, very first Stephen West design that I have knit, and now I want to do them all. I want to do them all. I'm not going to go casting on another one this week or anything, but I think that there is going to be another Stephen West pattern, probably a shawl pattern, in the future, this year, for sure. Because, yeah, even my husband was like, you need to just go back and like do all the past mystery knit-alongs. Maybe at some point, but that's a lot of knitting. So he does very big and exciting things. So let's talk about the yarn first, and then I'll take you through like each of the sections of the pattern here. So this is what I have left. Let's see if I can just kind of hold that up. So, oh my gosh, there we go. It's a really good picture. This is Sweet Georgia. So they do these party of 5 packs, but I bought this when they were offering for a little time their party of 5s in full skein sets. And I'm so glad that I snatched it up. I'm pretty sure that they're back to their party of 5 just being in mini skein sets again. So yeah, I don't think that this is something that you can get, but I'm so glad that I picked this up. Pre-pandemic, I had this sitting in my stash for like, I don't know, since I bought it before the pandemic started, right? So a couple of years. And then when the pattern came around, I knew that this was the yarn for this Shawlography pattern. Like, I didn't have to go try and putting things together. You know, I know Stephen West is like, just grab bold colors, grab bright colors, grab anything, it doesn't matter. But I loved having this jewel toned gradient set where I felt like no matter what, especially because his patterns can get kind of crazy with what he does. And I felt like no matter what the design was, it was a mystery pattern, so I didn't know what it was going to look like ahead of time. You just get the clues. There were 4 clues, and you get 1 clue each week. So if you're new to a mystery knit-along, that's how it works. The pattern is not revealed in its full until the very end of the knit-along. So you're just kind of blindly trusting that you're gonna be knitting this very large and amazing garment. And so I felt, because it was my first of 2 things. It was my first mystery knit-along, and it was my first Stephen West pattern. So, taking both of those in mind, I felt very confident because I loved this color palette so much that no matter what it ended up looking like, I was gonna be happy with it. And I am super happy with it. So many of you guys, thank you so much, have seen this on Instagram or on the podcast along the way. So many of you have commented that mine is the prettiest version. I have seen so many amazing versions, so, I don't know that that is fact, but I love mine, and that is all that matters. I love this so much. These colors are completely me, 1000% me, and oh my gosh, you guys. It is big, it is beautiful, it is blocked. This is amazing. Okay, so the cast on was right here. And then the first clue was these wedges of these short rows with all of the different colors. So you had like the one main color, which was your color B, and then the short rows in between were all of your other colors. So that was section 1. Clue 2 started out with this, let's see if I can get like a good close-up of that for you. That slipped stitch section with just plain stockinette behind it, followed by these really, really fun I-cord loops, which I had never done before. So there's a lot of texture in this shawl. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And then the next section, I kind of think that this part looks sort of like a spider web, except that like it's not open. You know what I mean? So, just more slip stitches with some stockinette behind it. And then another texture section. I mean, look at all this texture. You've got those, and then, oh my gosh. So yeah, you got these welts right there. That was probably the scariest part, but it was also really fun. And then there were these triangles, which is really fun. Let me see if I hold it up like that so you guys can see that better. It's kind of hard a little bit with the light going through, but there we go. Some triangles, and then some more texture with these baubles. And this is all still clue 2. And then 2, one on each side of these super long triangular short row sections. That part took forever. Like, it took forever, seriously forever. So then I kind of lost momentum with just other things I was working on, and I kind of slowed down. And at that point, at this point is where I pretty much fell behind everybody else, which was okay. I was not necessarily trying to finish on time, obviously, because now we're 2.5 months later. I think that this knit-along ended early November. Is that right? And now we are late January. So, it is what it is. It is done, though. And oh my gosh, you guys can tell how much I like this thing, I think. So then clue 3 also was a lot of knitting, just a lot of slow knitting, because the whole length of the shawl now was quite long. So it started out with these open lacy holes like that. And then I did brioche over here. So that was also an option. You could either do brioche, or he gave you another option if you didn't feel confident or just didn't feel like doing the brioche. You could choose another way. So it pops out the teal on the back side, and on the front side it pops out the purple. And then the last part of the third section were these cross stitches right there. So that was really fun to do. That was a technique that I did. Another Joji Locatelli designed her hipster shawl. I did the lightweight version of her hipster shawl, and that was where I first encountered these cross stitches, that like lace lattice work kind of thing there. And then the last section, which took forever, was the border, which, you know, a lot of people swapped out and did their own thing. It was my first Stephen West everything, and I just wanted to keep to pattern, and I knew that I liked all of my colors together, and so I thought it was so pretty. So, I mean, I don't know how to wear this, but if I just wanted to wrap it as a blanket, which I'm sure I'm gonna do a lot because it's cold here and I get cold all the time. You know, there's that. Otherwise, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't even matter how you put it on. I have to figure out how to style it, but like it's gonna show so many fun aspects of the shawl. So I feel like I'm still just kind of wrapped up in it now. Kind of as a blanket and a scarf and just a big colorful hug, which is really super nice. So yeah, so oh my gosh, Shawlography, guys, Shawlography. So yeah, we're gonna do a photo shoot later when my husband gets home after I'm done recording, because I don't have any pictures of it like in its full glory. I think I took a picture of it and shared it on Instagram when I finally got it off the needles and was ready to weave in the ends and block it. And then I think I haven't shared a picture of it all finished. So I'm so excited about that. Oh my goodness, I love this. Oh my gosh, guys. It's a thing now. This is a thing. I can wear it. Oh my goodness. I love it. I'm really starting to get super into shawls, you guys. We're super there right now. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I don't even know if I want to take this off or if I just want to like do the rest of the podcast in my Shawlography. It might be a combination because I might get a little bit warm. Okay, so I finished something else really big, and I got problems with it. So did I even, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go let my husband come in the house. He was on his way home, and I said I just wanted to get through Shawlography, and then we have one of those like clocks that is gonna chime at 12, and so I was gonna take a break and let the clock do its thing. So let me go allow my husband in the house, and then we'll talk about my next huge finished object. Okay, so finished object number 2 is another huge project, and that is my Noctuidae sweater by Catherine Clark that I have been working on for a year. Okay, so there's good news and bad news with this one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty frustrated. Let's start with the good news. Okay, so the good news is that it's finished, right? So, all right, let me hold this up. And all right, so the front of this sweater, this was a test knit. I did this as a test knit a year ago for Catherine Clark. I also filmed an amazing interview with her that if you guys haven't like sat down and watched it, it's a really fun interview. Like a year ago, I went into Brooklyn, and because it's like an hour and a half away from where I am, so it's not that big a drive. And I sat down with her and we did an interview, and we were both wearing our Noctuidae sweaters. She has another version that is just a 2-color version that she was wearing. But anyway, so this is the Noctuidae sweater. And this was a beast. This was a beast. These are moths and sweaters. Moths and sweaters, it's a thing, you know. The thing that we're all like concerned about is moths eating our wool. So it's like really fun to have moths all over a sweater. So I had all of the knitting done, and then what I didn't get finished was the hem. So let me show you this hem. And so the hem is now done, and so I finally sat down and I did the duplicate stitch, and it was really easy. I mean, you guys kept telling me it was really easy. I don't know. I don't know why I procrastinated on it for a full year. But this sweater, seriously, it has been sitting on the couch in my basement, buried under all kinds of other blankets and project bags in just a pile of things. It was just in the pile. And I was not wearing it because it was in the pile. And we've had some very, very cold days, like in like 9 degrees, 12 degrees here on Long Island. And this sweater is really warm, and it would have come in really handy. So anyway, so it took just a few hours. I did it over 2 days. I did the hem. So it's a really fun message. It says, always seek the light, you know, because moths always gravitate towards light, right? And then I whip stitched it down all the way across. And then I wove in the ends because I still hadn't even woven in the ends. So this is like a gazillion times finished now, finally. All right, so that's the good news. What is the bad news, you guys want to know? I don't like the way the hem is sitting. I don't, all right, so I'm gonna hold it, see if I can hold it up and see, I don't know how well this is gonna show, but it's not sitting nicely. Now, part of it, probably that I can fix with blocking, right? Just getting the hem to just sit nice and even and flat. I don't know. I might just try to block it and see. But the other problem, it's not even the way that the hem is just laying. Because probably I could sort that out with blocking. Like I mean I blocked this a year ago, so I finished it, but I have not reblocked it, right? But the other thing that I'm really concerned about, which I hope I can fix in blocking, but I just don't know, is that so it pulls in like, and then the hem flares out this way, and so it's like this, there's the sweater and then the hem flares out at the bottom, and it's just not sitting nicely. I don't like it. I don't like it because it looks really weird and is not sitting nicely. And so, I mean, I put so much work into this sweater, and I don't like the way that it's sitting at the bottom of the sweater. So I don't know what to do. My first instinct is that I should just block it and see if I can fix the shape a little bit. So that's probably the first step that I'll take. So I'm gonna have to do that and report back to you guys. It's too big. I can't even like hold it all up on camera. So I just don't know. Is that the back? That's the back of the sweater. Let's do the front. So I'll just kind of hold it up like this. I mean, you guys, I think you can kind of see how it flares out a little bit. I don't know. It doesn't look it doesn't look so bad when you're just looking at the sweater itself, but when it's on me, it's really obvious. It's like the bottom part of the collar work kind of clings to my hips because this is a very long sweater and it covers my butt. So, and I've gotten curvier also. And I don't think I should have sized up again because it's already a very big sweater. I think I knit size 3. And it's a pretty big sweater. So this last bit over here of color work, it pulls in a little bit. And the way that it pulls in a little bit is just kind of clinging to my thighs. And then the hem is flaring out. So we've got this situation where I have a sweater and then the bottom part of the color work is kind of clinging to me like that. And then the hem is doing that. It is not a good look. So really kind of bummed. I mean, you guys can see how much work went into this sweater. It's an enormous amount of work. All of that color work. I did it on a deadline too, except for the hem. And I feel so proud of myself for finally finishing this hem. I don't like it. I liked the sweater before I did the hem. This thing is like, keeps falling down. I liked the sweater before I did the hem. It had a different issue. So before I did the hem, so there was all this stockinette, and before it was whip stitched down and before I did the duplicate stitch, it would just kind of like jelly roll itself up. And somehow that ended up looking better. I also haven't tried this sweater on in a full year. So I have put on weight. And so I don't know if it's just that I've put on some extra weight in my thigh area and it's just not quite wide enough in that last colorwork section to smoothly sit over my thighs. So that is now the status of Noctuidae. I think now that Shawlography is off of the blocking mats, and I have nothing else waiting to be blocked. So I think what I will do is I will soak this tonight. I'm gonna take this off probably because it's driving me nuts. I think I'll soak this tonight and set it out on the blocking mats and see if I can like flatten the hem so that it, doesn't flare, so that it just sits nicely. And if I can stretch a little bit widthwise that final section of color work so that it doesn't do that, because that's not what you want to do around your thighs. I don't know anybody who has a waist that is bigger than their thighs, right? So the whole thing is like an A-line sweater. It's supposed to be like this. But for some reason, that last color work section pulls in a little bit. I cannot re-knit that whole thing. I mean, that is a lot of knitting. So I don't know. This is what's going through my head. What's going through my head is block it and see what happens. If it still doesn't work, if it still doesn't sit right, then the other thing that I was thinking was that this sweater would still be really fun with only the 3 rows of moths. I don't know exactly how I would do it, but I'm contemplating, and I've never done this either. I'm just kind of playing through like what some options are in my head to get this to be a sweater that I'm actually going to be able to wear, because I would really like to wear this sweater. I really would like to wear this sweater. I put so much work into it. I love the pattern. It's just doing something funny at the bottom that I can't. It could be a house sweater. It could just be one of those things that I just wear in the house and I don't wear out. But I want to be able to wear it out too if I can. So the other thing I'm thinking is maybe I could cut it and graft it together and make it shorter. So if this last row of moths, which is really pretty, right? If that's where it's cinching in, then maybe I could cut it maybe like halfway through this pattern, because I think that kind of is, yeah, like kind of around the same place. I don't know. Like I would put it on waste yarn all the way around so that I had a lifeline. It's also the tuku wool, this dark brown, is very sticky, so everything seems to be holding together really, really well. So it might be a candidate for cutting off like that bottom row of moths. And then, I mean, I just did the hem too, right? So either just redoing the hem, because I still have extra yarn. I still have extra yarn in both the tuku wool and in the Barrett Wool Co. in the oats, which is the main color that I used. So it's not an issue of having enough yarn. It's an issue of just the logistics of cutting a sweater. Like I would probably have to go in right over here. I think that there's a row that's just the oats color, but it's not much. I mean, this is like heavy duty color work, right? I think there might be like one row in here that is just the oats color that I could probably weave waste yarn into all the way around and then cut this off and unravel the whole bottom. At that point, I don't know. I'd probably just have to redo like this whole hem. I don't know that I could just cut the hem off and graft that back on. I don't think that that would work because of the way it's whip stitched down. Unless I just took the whip stitch out, grafted it, and then redid the whip stitch. But even that, I think that the bottom of the color work went right up into the ribbing. So I don't know, you guys, I want to wear this. I don't want it to be a sweater that just sits. It's not like I want to cut out that bottom portion, but can you guys see how it cinches in and then it flares out? And that it just gets exacerbated. Why can't I say that word? It's just not a good look over my thighs. Just the way that it's falling is not working. So I'll try to put it on and have my husband snap a picture of it on me later so that you guys can like see what I'm talking about, because it's not good. So anyway, so that is the continued Noctuidae situation. Thought it was going to be finished. It's not finished. Also, can I tell you what happened? Where is it? Maybe it's not a big deal. No, you can see it. When I was weaving in the ends, I was doing it at the kitchen table, at the dining room table. Owen had been eating chocolate, and I must not have noticed a little piece of chocolate got on my sweater. Can you guys see? Like it got on in like 2 places. So hopefully I tried to blot it out, but I feel like I just spread it around. At least it's on the back and my hair would likely be covering it. But I feel like it's so obvious. So that's another thing that happened with the Noctuidae sweater. So hopefully that'll come out even more when I wash it and block it again. It's such a sad situation, you guys. I'm hoping I can fix it. Okay, so that is it for finished objects. I think I'm gonna take this off because I'm like, I love it, but I'm sick of like throwing it back up onto my shoulder. So I think we will take the finished objects off. I'll lay Shawlography out against the chair again, and we'll go into the whips that I've been working on. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have been working my way through my whips. If you guys saw, the last video that I put out was all of my lingering whips that have been projects that have been on my needles, most of them since just 2021, but a couple of them even since 2020. And they've just been like piling up. I've had a pile of whips, and I mean, I think I had 12 or 11 or 12. It was either 11 or 12 knitting whips. That's kind of a lot. So I took you guys on a tour of my whips, and we went through all of them, and most of them are not going to get frogged. Most of them are going to get finished. I think there were 2 on the list that were in danger of being frogged. One of those is a cowl and is going to get frogged, and it might get recast on in a different yarn. And then the other is a pair of 2 at a time socks from a shawl blank, from a sock blank, and I think I'm gonna pick that one up again very soon and see and just give it another go and just try it. I think I just hadn't given that a fair chance. So those are kind of the only 2 that were in danger of being frogged, and everything else is in this work through it, get it finished kind of status. So I am not allowing myself to cast on anything else right now, except maybe a pair of vanilla socks, aside from the sock blank. Aside from that, I am not letting myself cast on anything else. I am working through my whips. That is my first knitting goal of 2022. I'm not even gonna go and tease myself with all the things that I want to cast on. I'm not gonna like torture myself with that and let myself go through that. I am just going to work through all the projects that I have been working on for a while, and I'm gonna get them done because I'm excited about pretty much all of them. So, all right. One thing though is the reason that a lot of those did not get done was I had so many test knits last year. I don't remember if you guys saw my finished object video, my review of all the things I finished in 2021. A ridiculous amount of them were test knits or were sample knits for somebody, and very few of them were just selfish. I'm knitting them because it's something that I just have to have in my wardrobe projects. I mean, I liked all the test knits. I wanted to knit them for one reason or another. But that meant that anything else kind of got pushed to the side because of all of these deadlines. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I had one test knit that I committed to already for January 2022, and that is the whip that I'm going to talk about right now. But after this one, you guys, I am not doing any more test knits. I'm not doing it. I like doing them. What I have found, the thing that I do not like about the test knits is the deadline. I don't want to knit on a deadline. No matter how much I want to knit the project, what ends up happening is that because of the deadline, anything else that I'm working on that doesn't have a deadline just gets pushed aside. And then if I take out another test knit, then that's another thing on a deadline. And then those things just get pushed aside even longer. And then they never get done, which is why I have this like huge pile of whips that aren't done. So I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm sorry if I test knit for you and I'm saying that I'm not going to test knit anymore. It is not you. It is just me wanting to get through my whips. I like test knitting. I like all the projects that I agree to. I would not agree to something that I did not like. So it's not at all anything like that. It's just all the things that end up getting pushed aside because of the deadline aspect of it. And I've got more going on in my life right now, going back to work in person and taking on more of a full-time role there. So life is it's changing, and I'm doing some more natural dyeing and trying to set that up. So like my priorities are just shifting, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just need to admit that to myself, that I need to just not test knit anymore. That being said, I'm enjoying this test knit, and it's gonna be a pattern that is coming out next week, and I am using stash yarn for it, because that was another one of my rules, is that if I'm gonna do a test knit, I have to already have the yarn for it because I have so much stash yarn. We'll talk about stash yarn in a minute. Let's talk about this project. Okay, so the yarn that I'm using has been in my stash for like 10 years, 11 years. It's been in my stash for quite some time, and I had just enough of it to do this test knit. And this is Terra Tweed, which I have never worked with before. It's okay. I love the color. I like the fabric. It feels a little sticky going over the needles. Probably if I used metal needles, I would have a different experience with it. I don't know, it kind of sticks on my hands a little bit, and so it feels a little slow. But it's gorgeous. I mean, it looks really nice. And so I am knitting a yet to be named cable poncho, a hooded cable poncho for Annie. Again, it's always for Annie Lupton of Boho Chic Fiber Co. And so yeah, this has been this is my January 2022 cast on, my newest thing. You guys have not seen this before. So it is the only thing that I allowed myself to work on that was not on my current whips that I'm working through. And I basically just put it on my current whip list because it needs to be finished by next week, which is the end of January. So her pattern's coming out like 2 days after you see this. So I'm just gonna hold this up and show it to you guys. This is the front of it. And now I did knit a gauge swatch. I feel like it's shorter. I could not meet row gauge. Make it my swatch. I knit this swatch like 4 or 5 times. I couldn't get row gauge, and this is another pattern that you knit to a specific amount of rows because of the cable design on the front, and then the back you're just knitting, like, instead of inches you're counting rows, which is fine. But yeah, so this is my swatch. I washed and blocked my swatch, and this is what it looks like. And you know, I tried adjusting my needle size, but then the fabric no longer looked nice, and I was meeting stitch gauge. I just wasn't meeting row gauge. So I don't even know how much I'm gonna be able to grow it, because my swatch, when I blocked it, it grew widthwise this way, but not so much this way. So it might be a little shorter than the dimensions of the schematic. I think I'm gonna be okay with that, because like the cropped look, it's not gonna be cropped, it's just not gonna be like tunic style. I don't think it was supposed to be like tunic length, but it is. Let's see if I can hold it up. So I mean, it's gonna be about the same length as the sweater, maybe like slightly shorter. But I think it will grow a little bit widthwise, and it's supposed to be super boxy, which it will be. It'll be even more so after I block it. It looks really nice, actually. So it's a really fun design, and this is gonna fit, I think, really well. So it's got the cables and the baubles drew me in. And then the fact that I had just enough yarn in my stash to make this pattern. So that is what the cable and bauble pattern design looks like. So that's the front, and then the back, so it's reverse stockinette on the front. And so then the back, I am halfway through, exactly halfway through the back panel. So it's reverse stockinette side. So this is knit flat. So that's okay. I don't mind purling. It does slow it down just a little bit. But I think it's got a really nice tweedy texture to it. Obviously, it's a color that I love. I mean, hello, Shawlography, purples, teals. So we're still right in that jewel tone situation. So yeah, it's gonna be seamed together at the shoulders only. There's no sleeves, and there's no side seaming. So it's gonna be open, seamed together at the shoulders, and then there's gonna be a hood. And I have never knit a hood before, so that is gonna be fun. So yeah, I should be able to knock out the rest of the back today, tomorrow, because I'm exactly halfway through. So I'm 52 rows in, 52 to go, and then just a little bit of shoulder shaping. Seaming the shoulders is not going to be a big deal. And then I think you pick up the stitches. Do you pick up the stitches and then knit it, or do you knit it flat? I think it's knit flat and then seamed together maybe. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how the hood construction is going to go. I will fill you guys in on that next podcast, because I'll have it as a finished object next time. But yeah, I don't have a poncho, and I really liked the design of it. I like to have things that I can throw on when I get chilly, and I just thought it looked like a cute little design. But once this one is done next week, that is it. That is it for the test knits. I'm not doing any more, at least for a long while, because not only do I have a million whips that I need and want to finish, but I already have so much yarn for so many projects, like bookmarked for certain sweater projects and everything. So many sweater quantities of yarn, so many things that I don't want to just get distracted by something else. I want to knit some of these projects that have been on my list for a while, even since like last January. You know, so I've got stuff like reserved to knit, and I'm not going to allow myself to start them until I get through at least a few more things on my whip list. So yeah, I've got a few big sweaters still to go. I've got a couple, like I've got the other mitten that I need to finish for my husband. So I'll probably get that second mitten cast on this week. Once this test knit is done, that's gonna kind of be the next like color work project. And then I've got some other things, some other big sweaters that you guys have already seen, but that I'm gonna be working through like on a rotation basis until those are done. So, all right, I do have one more whip to share with you guys, but before we do that, I wanted to talk about our stash along that has been going on. Okay, so I've had a few Knitalongs that have been open. The only one that you guys really participate in is the stash along. So I've got a couple of you that have participated in the Harry Potter knit along. I'm just going to continue to keep the Harry Potter one open. I'm not going to start a separate thread for that one. And then that's it. There's the Harry Potter knit along. I mean, if any of you guys have knit the Bernie mittens, I do have a thread for that, and I have a little pin. So I think once I finish the mittens, I will post mine in there, and then I'll probably just close that thread, because that was kind of like a novelty knit along, and we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the inauguration and everything. So I think I'll keep that. I'm planning to have the other mitten done by the end of this month, so I think I will keep that open through the end of the month, through the end of January, and then I'm gonna close the Bernie mitten thread. And I just have one little pin. So anybody who has knit Bernie mittens, if you want to go ahead and upload your photo to that thread, if you want to have a shot at winning a little tiny pin, that would be great to do that before the end of this month. And then, so the stash along, I am also going to keep that, the current one, open through the end of January. And then I'm going to go ahead also and open like a 2022 one. So you can enter, you can upload your projects into either thread once the 2022 stash along is open. But at the end of 2021, at the end of January, I'm going to close that thread for the 2021 stash along. And then what I was thinking is, I was initially thinking I was going to draw some prizes throughout the year, and I never drew any prizes. I think I was also thinking that maybe I would just, I don't know what I was thinking, but what I'm thinking now is that because it's a stash along, and now I'm kind of going through the process of packing things up because we're moving. So I thought it would be a good time, just as I'm packing things, to find a few fun things that are in my stash to offer up as prizes. And so what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna like announce them on the podcast or anything, but if you guys have entered that, I'll contact you through the thread. I'll draw like probably three people from that and find some of my stash yarn, because I have some fun things that are either extra skeins that I never dug into from a project that I finished, or just a couple, like a mini skein pack of something that I ended up rebuying because I didn't think I was going to have enough, and then I didn't need to touch it. So I think I might put that up in for a prize. And then I know that I have like so much like Knitterly Things sock yarn, so I was thinking maybe finding a skein of that or two. So anyway, if you guys haven't already uploaded anything and you want to be in the running for me to send you some yarn from my stash, make sure you upload before the end of January. And then what I'll do is I'll pick a few people from that thread and just contact you directly through the thread and send you guys some prizes. And then in the meantime, I will set up a stash along 2022. So it'll be hashtag stop, drop, and knit your stash 2022, right? Or just the same hashtag, and then it'll just be a separate thread in the Ravelry group. So maybe we'll just keep it stop, drop, and knit your stash. And then there'll be a thread for 2022 in the Ravelry group where you can upload your photos. And yeah, so that's what I'm planning for that. So that's just a little bit of like admin stuff that I keep forgetting to talk about and wanted to mention. So, especially because I am planning on using quite a bit of my stash again this year, because I have so many things that I am just excited about. Okay, so for my last whip, I have a pair of socks. And this is not a, it's not really a lingering whip. It lingered in the sense that I started it in December. So it has lingered into 2022, but not for very long. So I think this was an October colorway from Knitterly Things. Maybe it was November. I don't know. I have the label right here. October. And this is called Burning Leaves. And this was a beautiful colorway that came in the mail for my Knitterly Things Sock Yarn Club. So I'm subscribed to Julia's 2 clubs. So I get 2 sock yarns every month. And this was one of them for October. And then it also came with a mini. So these are the colors I'm working with. And I have 1 complete sock. I love these so much. Such different colors than I usually pick out, but super fun. So I did the My Knitted Heart Vanilla Socks pattern by Elizabeth Suarez. For this, this is one of my go-to patterns because it is stockinette. It's like ribbing and then stockinette front and back with a little bit of ribbing just on the sides to help cinch it in. which is great for me because I have really small feet, very narrow feet. So these always end up fitting me super well. And so I just swapped out the yarn. I used the mini for the heel. So it's just a slip stitch heel flap and just your typical heel flap gusset construction there. And then I also used just a tiny bit of it for the toe. And so that is my latest sock. And I am currently working on the second one. So I hope to have this one done within the next few days. I am almost done with the heel flap. And yeah, in another few days, I should have my first pair of socks. And then I think, my first pair of socks for 2022. And then I think I'll probably knit some for Owen out of what's left, because I always have enough left to knit him a pair as well. So I'll have to ask him if he likes these colors or not. I don't think I've asked him yet. So he usually wants them, but I'll probably check with him. And if not, like, I'll just cast on socks for him with a different yarn. So I have a couple of acquisitions, speaking of knitterly things. So I forgot to bring those up. So let me go grab those and I will be right back. All right, so the acquisitions that I have are both from Julia over at Knitterly Things. I received in the mail recently her, I only went to the post office box to check on it recently. So I just picked up my yarn from the sock club subscription. So she has 2 sock clubs. I don't know that they're open for signups. They were recently, so you guys could go check that out. I would do that really soon because I think that she already did her last call for signups. One of the 2 opens up quarterly, every 3 months. The other one, this is the only time you can sign up. I don't remember which one is which. I think the Remix Club. So yeah, all right. This one, the first one that I got, so these are both from December 2021. This one is called Woodsy. And the way that it works with her sock yarn club is you can either choose when you sign up what base you want to get the yarn dyed on, or what I do is I just let it be Julia's choice. I just choose dyer's choice, and that way I end up with a mix of things. And I just let Julia use her judgment, whatever she feels like it looks best on, or whatever she feels like dyeing on, whatever she's got in stock, whatever. I just let it be whatever Julia wants to do. So one less decision that I have to make. You can also choose to have minis added on, so I go ahead and do that. I either will use them with that month's socks, or I will just pull them and use them in a different project. So I've done both things. So this first one is called Woodsy, and she did this on her tweed self-striping, or it's a tweed self-striping colorway. So she did this on her 85% superwash merino and then 15% Donegal Nep base. And so this is nice and beautiful. Look at those awesome colors. So I'm not really getting like a winter vibe from this, but I'm getting more like a fall vibe, which is perfectly fine with me because fall is my favorite season. And then she paired it with like a deep blue mini there. So I'm gonna hold it up. There we go. So yeah, gorgeous, so pretty. So I love the way that that looks. I love when she does the ones with the that has a little bit of the barber pole striping in there. I think that is a really fun touch. And then the other one is super wintry, super holiday vibes. This one, Julia picked her sparkle base. So the base for this one, this is her Remix Club. I think it's the Remix Club that you can only sign up for in January. And that's the one where she takes an older colorway and reimagines it into something new and fresh. And this one she did on her, so it's 75% superwash merino, 23% nylon, and 2% stellina sparkle. And she called this one Fire and Ice Remix. I love this one. This is gonna be great for more holiday socks, I think. Look at those colors. It's like teals and aquas and reds and like kind of like this color green of my sweater here. Oh my gosh, how fun is this gonna be to pair with this sweater next December, right? Love this one, and you can see the sparkle in it. So pretty. Out of the two, this one I think is my favorite, but I really do also love this one for fall. So this is the yarny goodness that I got in the mail this month. So both of those are really fun. So yeah, that is all I've got for acquisitions. I do have some really beautiful natural dyeing that I want to share with you. So let's go on and do a little bit of that segment. Okay, so let's talk natural dyeing. So I have started slowly getting back into dyeing my yarn. I am still, you guys, working on turning everything that I was going to turn into minis. That is, oh my gosh, it is so slow going. The next time I want to make minis, I need to order the yarn ahead of time as mini skeins and then dye them, because this is ridiculously slow. But I really wanted to do mini skeins for these. So I'm still not ready to share with you guys in as far as like you guys being ready to purchase, but we're working towards it. I'm getting there. The good news is that the colors are so perfect for spring. And so I will have this in your hands in time to do some really fresh, beautiful spring palettes. Okay. So yeah, so I'm still not there. But we're working on it. Yeah, so give me a few more weeks, and we'll get you some spring yarn. So there's so many beautiful pastels. I think it's actually gonna be a perfect time to share those yarns with you guys. So I'm very excited about that. It's just moving slowly. I will be having a few days every week that is dedicated to the dyeing business. So I did just start my full-time position, but I'm only having to go in most weeks part-time hours, so like 3 days a week. And then the other work, like the way that it is with my job is there are going to be a few weeks every semester where I'm going to be insanely busy, but then most of the time I'll just have a little bit of like admin work to do here and there. And so most of the time I'm only going to have to be in the office 3 days a week, which means I have 2 days completely that I can dedicate, plus the weekend, 2 days plus the weekend, so 4 days that I can dedicate towards the shop and everything. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm getting my schedule sorted out, so I know which days are going to be heavily focused on dyeing yarn and which days I'm going to be off teaching and doing admin work. And then I'm going to have like a routine pretty soon. So I'm very excited to have a routine, because as much as I like not having to be anywhere at specific times and places, I really like a routine. And so it really helps me when I have to be places. I am one of those people that the less commitments that I have to show up for at certain times, the more freely structured my day is, the less I get done. It's just the way that I am. The busier my schedule is, the more I seem to be able to get done, because I have smaller windows of time to work with. And so I end up being so much more productive. So I think that that's going to be kind of the situation here with this new job. And just, yeah, I'm just going to get into a really great routine, and it's going to be good. I know it. So anyway, I've been doing a little bit of dyeing. of things that I'm not going to show you today because it's kind of downstairs. I dug into some of my lichen jars again, and I dyed up some more lichen yarn. I'm also trying to go through like stuff that's in the freezer here as far as mushrooms and stuff that I have because we're moving. And so like the lichen jars, those aren't going to move very well. I mean, we're not moving far, but easier to use it now before I move than to like worry about packing it up, you know? So I've been trying to do the stuff that I kind of have already and just getting that out. But I also did a little bit of dyeing just for myself. So everything that I've shown you guys, I am actually putting in the shop in some form. I am keeping some mini skeins for myself, but basically I'm sharing it all with you guys. So I thought that this time it would be really fun to do something just for me, and I know you guys are going to be jealous, so I feel a little bit bad showing it to you guys, but it is so cool. Okay, so you guys know that I really like dyeing with this one mushroom called the Cortinarius semisanguineus. No idea if I'm pronouncing it correctly or not. Who knows? But, so this one mushroom, it's like, I'll put a picture in so you guys can see. It's like this innocent looking brown mushroom that grows in pine forests. But underneath the cap, the gills are red, right? So this is the one that has been giving me like those beautiful coral colors. I have since learned, so when I was dyeing with these mushrooms before, I was throwing the whole mushroom in, all of them, like the whole shebang, stems, caps, all parts of the mushroom in the dye pot. And I was getting this beautiful coral color, which I know you guys have seen. I have learned that with this particular mushroom, if you separate the cap, so the cap is like, you know, the little hat part of the mushroom from the stem, you can get different colors, right? So all of the yarn that I am about to show you, all of these different colors, it's not even like just different shades of the same color, because you know, like when you do multiple dye baths of one thing, you start with a very saturated color and then gradually it fades as you have less dye left to dye the yarn. So with this mushroom though, because the gills on the caps are so bright red and the stems are mostly brown-ish yellow with a little tiny bit of red, you end up getting different colors. So I want to show you this because this really blew my mind. What I was expecting from the stems, based on what I saw other people get, was right away I expected to get yellow. And that's not what happened. The very first dye bath, I got like this beautiful coral color. So it's like a peachy orange kind of color, right? Beautiful. And then, so the first after bath, I got a much more yellow shade. So this is with just the stems, no caps. So this was the initial dye bath, and then this was the first after bath. So the after bath is when you just reheat, like you take the yarn out and then you reheat the dye bath. And with this particular mushroom, you can only dye one skein at a time because of the way that the yarn picks up the color. You get your most saturated colors if you only put one skein of yarn in at once. So this is a big, long process because I have to heat and cool the dye bath between every single skein of yarn with this particular mushroom. Usually with materials, I'm putting like between 3 and 5 skeins in at once. So this is just one skein at a time. Anyway, so this was the first after bath. And then after this cooled, I heated it up one more time. And look at this pale yellow that I got, which was kind of what I was expecting initially. So check out this beautiful gradient, but also how different. It's not just different shades of the same color. It's kind of like 3 different colors, right? There's no peach in this at all. This is like a pure baby yellow. And then, I mean, it's a fade, right? Wait until you see, though, what I got from the caps and how these are going to work together. All right, so the hat part of the mushroom, the part with the red gills, also you want to do it one at a time. So the very first one I put in, look at that depth of color, right? Look at that. Now, to give you an idea, this was the stems, right? So similar, it's like some of the pink from the caps was a little bit of that in the stems, right? But look at how much deeper you get when you just put the caps in. All right, so this was the initial dye bath of caps only. Then, you guys, this is so beautiful. The first after bath. Look at this gradient. I am gonna hold this up like on its own. It is like a variegated skein. Some bits have a lot of pink-ish peach, and other parts have a lot more yellow. Do you guys see how variegated that is? I mean, this is gorgeous. So that's these two together, right? And then I put one more skein in, and it is still very variegated. A piece of hair, hold on, piece of my hair on it. All right, so this is still very variegated, but it's paler. So I have this beautiful fade between these 6 skeins. All right, so this is the second after bath. So you see there's a few bits that are quite pink, but we're more on the yellow side. I am blown away by the range of colors. So we're gonna do it this way. I'm gonna hold these up. So this is caps only. And this was stems only. So what I'm thinking is to make some kind of fade. Hold on, let me get these like this. Like some kind of fade situation. Something like this maybe. By mixing them up together. Plus, I still have the dye baths. I'm thinking that I can get one more skein maybe out of each dye bath. The problem is that I ran out of mordanted yarn, or I have 2 skeins of yarn that I can't remember if I put a mordant on them or not, or if I just had them soaking in water for the lichen, which you don't need to mordant, and then I didn't use them, or if I mordanted them and they're ready to go. Like, I can't remember. And I'm using both of my dye pots. So I might just put in the 2 skeins. I've got 2 skeins. I don't remember if they have a mordant on them or not. I might just throw one of them into each dye bath later tonight and just see if I get any color. Because I think that there's still some color in each of those. And it'll be really pale, it'll be really light. But I think, I mean, to me, these are all mixed up now, but to me, this range is amazing. And how amazing would this look in like a big fade sweater, right? Like maybe comfort fade cardi or something similar like that. I'm so excited. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but this is gonna be like a just for me project, because I think I deserve one of those. I've been doing a lot of dyeing, and as for all the things I said I was gonna keep for myself, I am sharing it. So yeah. And let's see, Owen and I also, like, we had a little bit of snow. When did we do this? Maybe 2 weeks ago, we did a little bit of snow dyeing again with the Kool-Aid. I think I posted it in Instagram stories. He ended up putting quite a bit of red on there. So basically, even though we had blue and yellow and stuff in there, basically we ended up with pink yarn from Kool-Aid. So we're supposed to get a little bit more snow tomorrow, and I have some Kool-Aid left, so maybe we'll do that again this weekend if the snow sticks around for a little bit. If it doesn't, I don't know. I'm sure we'll get more snow. But yeah, so that was fun. We did a little bit of dyeing with the Kool-Aid again, and yeah, I'm just slowly getting back into it. But oh my goodness, did this feel really fun and great to sit down and talk with you guys. Finally, I feel like it's been so long since there's been like an actual episode out. So, yeah, I think that's all I've got for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed sitting down with me today as much as I enjoyed visiting with you all. If you're not already subscribed, I would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. It really helps my channel be more visible to more people. And yeah, the thumbs up, the comments, subscribing, it all really helps my channel get out there. So if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. If you're new here and stayed to the end, thank you so much and welcome. I am so appreciative of every single one of you, and I hope to check in with you guys again soon. And please, everybody, have an amazing day, weekend, month, an amazing 2022. Let's do it. Okay, bye.